I'll be gone. Back in a second. Alright, so this is Lost in Prayer. This is a turn-based roguelike where one of the main gimmicks I'm not going to reveal immediately here. You'll figure it out very quickly. But the whole shtick here is you are caught in between heaven and hell. Specifically, you are being asked by these two folks here to attack the other. You can kind of guess their nature just looking at them, but the angel over here wants us to attack hell. And the fallen angel, I almost said devil there, but they definitely have more fallen angel going on, wants us to attack heaven. We're here in purgatory. Right now, I am this creature known as Oblivion. Which, actually, yeah, what I am right now kind of gives the gimmick away. The gimmick is, when you die, you become what killed you. And then your next attempt is you using the thing that killed you. Which is a fascinating idea. And you have the sins and virtues to use as your stat system in this game. Keeping it on theme, you know? But you'll notice all of them have a drawback. So you actually have to balance that out kind of carefully. Which is interesting. And you can see your entire stat line down here, including a cannot swim. Bear that in mind, that's actually going to be more important than you might think. And also your weight and things like that, which also do actually matter. Over here, you have your inventory. You can see we have absolutely nothing in it, but when we open this box, we'll have a few things to start us off. The kindness plate gloves, which chance to resist heavy and gives us a little bit of defense. Both of them are the same, so we may as well just put it on. It also raises my kindness by 1. And then we have the gluttony plate pauldrons, which give us 1 gluttony and increase our defense by 2 and resist restrained by 100%. Now bear in mind that had an effect on all of our stats because of the way the sins and virtues work. And we have the large Juju ointment, which will heal us. So we're gonna just hang on to that. Anything you don't want, you can chuck in the transmutation thing, which is a way to gain free experience, which gets spent here. This allows you to upgrade your skills and pick up new skills, but it's only for the attempt you're doing. Is remember, we'll be leaving this body when we die. So it's an important quirk to keep in mind. Yeah, Zariel wants us to attack Hell, and over here, Astaroth wants us to attack... Astaroth, rather, wants us to attack Heaven. I believe I'm in a Hell body right now? So we'll go fight Heaven. This is all purely controlled with the mouse. I think you can use other methods, but I'll be using the mouse here today. We got the Moral Cube, a bunch of stuff laying around, including a basic club. You'll notice your turn order over there. We're actually getting 2 turns to their every 1 at the moment. And we have an array of skills to our benefit here. A headbutt, a tri-shot, and a slowdown. Projectiles work interestingly in this game because they're not instant. Projectiles go onto the field when you fire them. As you can see, we have our little orbs here, and they take their own individual turns following their paths. Bump him, and then you notice my projectiles all went off afterwards. That's important to remember in terms of dodging enemy projectiles, of which there's going to be a fair few. This game also really loves its knockback, so keep that in mind as you're playing as well. There's our first level. We'll fire a tri-shot in his general direction, and then slow him down. Now, remember what I just said about knockback? Collision helps. Unless you're the one having your body collided with a heavy physical object, which will happen because the enemies do understand how to use their knockback to their advantage as well. Most of the time. We can pick up a debuff reduction, make our special ratio for our tri-shots better, special being our non-physical damage stat, which is somewhere around here. Yeah, there it is, right there. Notice it also applies to item uses, which is interesting. Basically, it's anything that isn't a direct physical attack that applies with the special stat. And then your attack ratio is how much your raw attack affects the skill. It's all pretty self-explanatory. We can create traps, we can get Ghost Stab. Actually, yeah, let's take Sudden Trap. Because now there's a 50-50 chance of a trap appearing where I push an enemy to. So we'll basically just get free damage if I'm just pushing an enemy around open space, which is gonna have to happen sometimes. We get 3 points to pick out some sins and virtues. And you can see it all affecting the stat line down there in real time, which is nice, because it makes it easier to keep track of what the actual effect of these things will be. Retribution being block in this particular game. I am gonna amp up our Gluttony a little bit. Maybe it's just me, but Gluttony doesn't seem like something that would make your speed higher and your max health lower. Gluttony feels like it would raise max health rather than lowering it. Because you're just consuming more and becoming greater than you were. Which would usually be at the cost of speed, you would think. Wrath is also a pretty good one, because our accuracy isn't bad at the moment. And you'll notice there's multiple ways to raise your accuracy without lowering your attack, so you just would have to trade off other things to get your accuracy back up. And you just kind of like go in a trade loop with that to keep your stats up. Is kindness the only way to get our special up? Or did I miss the other one that was... Oh, sloth is special. Okay. So I lose speed for special, or I lose critical power for special. I'll take the critical power down for special. That's going to be better for us. Though, since I'm using headbutt a lot, that's why I also raised our physical. And you go through doors by just blowing them up. As you do, you know? Fireplace Poker. Fireplace Poker raises attack, lowers defense. club just raises power, but we can't use either of them because we can't use physical weapons in this form. We can only use orbs. Because that's the other thing that matters about bodies that you end up with, is they have different equipment sets. Some of which can carry multiple physical weapons, some of them can carry... I think I've seen actually a couple that have, like, multiple... like, Greave slots. Or was it multiple Pauldron slots? It was one of the two. But anything that doesn't fit your slots, you may as well just transmute it straight up, because I don't think there's any use for it otherwise. Yep. We have an angel here, the sentry. Thankfully, they're real fragile, so pop. Thank you for the kindness plate. That is much better defense, and it raises our kindness, which raises our special. That was weird. They layered over each other for a second there. That's probably a bug. Cemetery. Yeah, you have unique rooms sometimes. Envy tablet. I would love to hit him into that pit because it would kill him, but we'll just bounce him off the tombstone a few times. Make sure he gets the idea. Actually, yeah, we can push all the way up to having a 100% trap chance, which will be fun. Let's go ahead and raise up our wrath some more, since I am just running around headbutting, with quotes, because we're punching them, but it's fine. Oh yeah, this actually is something we can use, and this is where you get a lot of your other skills from, is you pick them up from the weapons you're using and the armor you're wearing. In this case, we can have Poison Bite now, which has both attack and special, though it does lower our attack a little bit in its calculation, which is unfortunate. But we now have an actual weapon, giving us 3 more attack and 6 more special. And you'll see it on our little model down there, too. Everything you're wearing actually carries over, which is nice. There's a sword, which won't help us. Fire off a tri-shot. Yes, stand in a perfect line where I can knock you into each other. Thank you. Let's slow that one in the front down so they stay stuck together like that, ideally. Nope. Right, they have ranged attacks. What am I doing? Bonk. Bonk. As you can see, we're kind of hurting right now. This game is not easy, which is the other reason why I didn't just immediately go, yeah, I'll turn crowd control on immediately. Why not? This game is quite good at killing you. Failed transmutation, perfect transmutation. Oh, there we go. The Chastity Chain Pauldrons give me wings if I want them. But I'm gonna keep the Kindness Pauldrons for the increased special, so we'll go ahead and melt those down as well. Let's go ahead and take care of that ointment. Now we're back at full health. Because we were getting kind of low before, and I wasn't that happy about that idea. Just keep on trucking. You can auto-path to a variety of places, like in this case it'll auto-path me to the nearest unopened door. Deserted square? Question mark? There's a bunch of weapons in here. And I don't mean the pick-upable kind, I mean the turret kind. So you gotta be careful of that, as well as traps like these spikes here, which I forgot that they activated immediately. There we go. Go ahead and just break that so I can get through. Be mindful of these pools of various liquids. They are going to be bad for you if you get pushed into them, but you can, as you might imagine, push your enemies into them. Humility Orb, which will be good for us, is we can use that. 1 attack, 3 special. So our special is up to 39 now, which is pretty good. The unfortunate thing is, for all that I'm focusing on giving myself a lot of specials, the only thing that uses special that we have, really, is our Tri-Shot. We really are much more heavily using our physical. As you can see, hopping in the water hurt me a bit because we can't swim. But it also gives us protection against burning and sludging. And Poison Bite's a melee move. You can freely spin the camera around. You can also zoom in and actually get a better look at yourself if you want to. Get a better look at your enemy. Like, you get a lot of camera angles. You can even zoom all the way out here, which is actually, in most cases, probably what you'd want to do so you can actually see the lay of the land around you better. So you get less surprises. Depends on how you want to do things, though, really. There we go, punch him straight into a trap. That didn't exist there before. These guys are rough, the Hamsas, is they will push you around and fight from range in most cases. They were the first thing that killed me, I think. As long as you stay on the move, their charge shots aren't too dangerous, because their charge shot has to hit where you were originally. So just keep your body moving and you'll be okay. Go and melt down that club, keep our experience going. So I think we actually lost SP from that. Because I think you can lose SP as well as gain it. And now we've explored the entire map. And there's the stairs up right there. So we'll head there after I deal with this guy who's now in my way. This is what I think of your morality. Oh yeah, you can have your skills get locked sometimes with the restrain in effect. It sucks. But he dropped a heal, so you know what? That was worth it. We can grab this Juniper ointment before we go upstairs. That all affects your mana, which, you know, your SP rather. But it depends on how much you're using your skills, which right now we don't have that many things that are that great to use. Let's use the little ointment. Save the medium one for when we're in danger. Getting to this staircase kinda sucks. Gotta, like, go all the way around. But now we go up to the next floor. As you might imagine, in heaven you go upstairs, in hell you go downstairs. And they have completely different tile sets and different enemy sets. So it really depends on what you enjoy fighting more, for the most part. So I would presume you have to do both at some point. I was hoping he'd walk into the other part of the Tri-Shot. Now, take note of the fact that if they're faster than you, their charge shots can go off before you can move to avoid them, which is kind of brutal. Get poisoned. I wanted to wait for him to start up a charge shot so I could get to him without him being able to move, and then we can bully this one against the stairs. Planning. Because that's a big thing in this game. You want to plan your moves. There we go. Guaranteed trap when I push an enemy now. This way I don't have to spend a turn making a trap. I can just manifest traps. So we'll keep raising our wrath and our kindness, which is a hell of a thing to have be our two main stats. We have the highest wrath and the highest kindness. Oh, we got up the Holy Primate. He's also another dangerous one. Go, my orbs. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. But that works, because I can... Oh, right. He's got a funny thing he does, where he can make the... Yeah, he's got back off, which makes me get pushed back when I push him. When I hit him, rather. He's got wings right now, and now we're trapped in this corner, which is the opposite of what you'd want. Drink the ointment, which takes a turn when you're in combat. But now... Oh, nope. He's still evading, so that still did nothing. I think we are going to lose here. There we go. Got rid of the Hamsa. Did a lot of damage. It also pushed me through this door, which I thought was a wall. So that works. God damn you, your evasion. Why am I missing him so much? Yeah, he just has a lot of dodge. Okay, I'm just having bad luck because of that. He's gonna get 2 turns here in a moment, so we're probably dead. 'Cause I'm out of healing ointment. I should have done this earlier. Lower his speed. And we're not dead yet. Okay. That actually works. That kills the primate, but now there's another one coming. So we're probably hosed here. Yep, bunk. So we're gonna become the flower. I probably should have let the primate kill me so I could become a primate. Whoop. Yeah, we just turn into a ghost and possess the thing that killed you. That went worse than most of my runs usually do. Which is a shame, because Oblivion's not a bad form to have. Ta-da! We are now this thing, the Radiant Bloom, which has multi-bullets, burst shot, blockade, heal around, remote bang, missile, and lung scope. So actually it'll be pretty good, I think, to have a special focus set up for this. But as you can see, we've been a Hamsa, we're now the Bloom, we've had a Holy Primate, an Oblivion, and this is what you start with, this freaky thing, the Soul Slime. Which I think you can select anything you've been killed by, so I don't have to be this, but I'm gonna keep... I like to roll it as I am actually gonna use the thing I take, because it keeps it interesting. Hey, we also have these things. Reset, Blueprint, Interception, Speeding Bullet, and Ease Off as well. Oh, interesting. Get a chance to copy any trap that you land on and duplicate it under every foe. That's ridiculous. Yeah, we get a bunch of items again. Mostly armor and orb. We're a heaven creature, so we'll attack hell, of course. We can't use this chainmail. Yeah, because this is one of the ones that has 2 pauldrons but no chest plate slot. We did at least get a weapon immediately, though. 1 kindness, 1 temperance. No pride for us. I think... No, I can't put the potion bottle down there. That's fine. Let's see. So burst shot we start with. We start with missile, burst shot, and blockade. What can I reach quickly? Remote bang. Interception. Eating bullet. That's interesting. You can get extra turns when you get hit by a projectile. And we can get Blueprint pretty quick. I also wouldn't mind multi-bullet. So I might grab Blueprint, then grab multi-bullet. We'll see how it plays out. And now y'all will get to see hell. The Mad Jester. Guarding an iron sword. Create a projectile there. Give him a whack. Let's see, he's got Nice Try, Wander, and a bunch of stats that I'm not going to really read all of right now. Oh, he's too close for me to hit now. Huh. That's upsetting. Oh, and we got a Purgatrog right here. Basic unit of hell. As you can see, he can be a bit of a problem because he just hops around. Okay, Yeah, the music's fine. I'm trying to wait for my missile cooldown because I can't actually hit anything currently. So I can create the projectile on his head and kill him. But we don't have any close range attacks, so we're kind of in a bad spot that I did not understand until now. So actually, I think we need a remote bang. Like right now. And we'll go ahead and just start raising our kindness to get our special up. Explode! And then we can hit him with burst shot, and he dies. Okay, looks like burst shot actually is like a V shape in front of me. So actually, I think I can hit things that are diagonal from me. I just can't hit things that are directly in front of me. Figuring it out. We have lots of pauldron slots, so pauldrons are good to get. That halt is also going to be good. Makes an enemy stop moving. That way we can pummel them with shots. That's actually going to be really good. Sword, less good. Don't have hands, can't use that. Got a Tormented Husk right on the other side here, as well as another Purgatrog. Howdy, howdy. Gonna kill you all now. Oh, it's an X shape, not just a V shape. Okay. Fire our missile. Healed immediately, but that's fine. Remote bang pushes him back. Okay, yeah, but first shot doesn't do a lot of damage. Blockade here so the Purgatrog can't just rush me. I want to be able to hit both of them. This is going to take a minute to kill them, but... Oh, he's running. You know what? That works, because now I can hit you with missile with confidence, then. This is not going great at the moment, but it'll be fine. Yeah, he's really not sure what to do with himself because he couldn't get to us. The fact that he healed himself upsets me. I also do not have the SP to do more. That's something to be careful of with my AoE, is waking up more enemies while I'm trying to get rid of the enemy that's in front of me. Now we have a Leviathan. Kind of small for a Leviathan. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in here, actually. So that's unfortunate for me. How about you stay there? Jester moving twice is not what I wanted. I was hoping to be able to hit both of them. And there was my blockade immediately. Love that for me. Jester doesn't have a lot of health, so we'll start working that one over, I guess. We really need some other moves. Like yesterday. Orb. There we go, now the music's kicking in. That doesn't give me a new move, but at least it makes me a little stronger. We can hit 2 enemies for the price of 1, but we are getting hit twice as well. And now we're gonna get hit 3 times if the Purgatrog doesn't die here, which he does, so we're good. This is not a great position to be in, especially since we're just caught in a restrain loop, so we can't actually use my other skills even though our SP is recharged. Which I think is the Leviathan. I think he's just like keeping us wrapped in a tentacle or something. Okay, he's gonna run, and yeah, the restraint stayed on. Okay, he's panicked, so he's gonna run off. Now we heal then. I could have killed him and hit the Leviathan at the same time, but I was worried that the Leviathan was gonna pull a new move out once I was close to death. That would allow him to finish me off. friends with some squids. I don't really want to be one. And we'll just snipe him now. Okay. Still don't have any armor space, so get rid of that. Alright. We got another Mad Jester. And down he goes, which gives us a level, which will hopefully get us something we can use. Actually, Interception could be really good. Get a chance to strike a foe when they move without losing a turn. So I can, like, hit them as they move towards me. And that can go up to a 100% chance. It doesn't do much damage is the only problem. You'll notice the ratios are bad. 0.15 and 0.1. Because the problem with Blueprint is I have to actively step on a trap, but multi-bullet would be a good move to get. Reset's also not bad, a chance to reset the cooldown of a skill, but that requires skipping a turn. Oh, greater range on burst shot. I was like, what is the point of that? Double special ratio on missiles actually, very tempting as well. It's a shame that it caps out at 2.5. It would have been really nice to get it up to 3. But 3 would also be a lot. Now, I think Interception is the play here. Even though the actual damage on it's kind of low, it is still free damage, as long as it lands. Some more health would probably be good for us. Max health and max SP from Greed. Retribution is nice and all, but I don't really think it's gonna be that likely to work out for this character. There we go, there's our free hit. Like I said, it does very little, but it's not a bad thing to have. Especially when you consider I can bump them around and make them take the hit. Quit giving me chest armor. I don't have a chest. I am a plant. Yeah, you see the stairs going down here instead of up. Missed. How you missed a plant that's just sitting here, I don't know, but you did it, bud. Way to go. Die. I don't know if I want to find it. But how goes Spooky? There we go. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, it's better armor than we have, so I may as well put it on. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. No, I'd rather keep those. Yeah, it's business as usual. We definitely have more places we could go, right? That's not the entirety of this map? Maybe it's the entirety of this map, but let's look anyway. The auto-pathing would have taken me to another place, yeah, so this just was a really small floor 1. So that's a shame. What do we got here? Got traps, lots of traps. Exit over there, exit over there. Yep, okay. Guess we're just going this way then. Good night, ABC. Totally empty lair, yep. Empty of everything other than traps.
Bleep, bleep.
And we did get a gluttony orb. No skill on it though, unfortunately. I could swap the Wrath or the Kindness orb. Probably the Wrath orb because all of our attacks are predominantly based on our special. rather than our attack. Though burst shot is actually half attack, 1/3 special, so maybe I don't lower my attack then. Yeah. Get rid of the meatball. Do not path over the bear trap that you very clearly see there. Another empty lair, so no enemies. There's stuff in here though, so I'm going to go get the stuff. Ooh, kindness tablet. Ooh, bombs away. Yes. Yes. It's also a much higher stat line than the orb. So goodbye orb. Lotus ointment. I'm going to assume that probably is like remove debuffs or something, so we'll just go ahead and melt that too. Not particularly concerned about that. Oh yeah, if you ever need to know what happened, there's all of this information here. We found the jail, which has enemies in it. Some nightmares, Purgatrog, another jester. Lot of enemies in here actually. Oh boy. So methinks we might want to stay here in the doorway, so we can't just get rushed down by the whole mob here. You really love to ask that question every time, huh? Well, if you're wondering as to why things are happening in this game, you can refer to the store page, which will help you figure out a lot about what's going on if you just look right here. There you go. But really, at the end of the day, we're stuck in purgatory and we're just kind of fighting both sides. We've been offered assistance in either direction depending on which side we attack, so you kind of have free option there. Let's blockade the jester away for a second so that you move into a better position for me to attack. Not quite the way I wanted that to lay out. I was hoping the jester was going to take a little bit longer to move. It's fine. Send you to the bear trap. Nope, didn't make it all the way. That's one way to look at it. We're just like this weird, like, soul goop thing. I'm not sure what its origin is, really. Okay, we can move and leave bombs, so let's move there, leave that bomb for him. We are probably dying here, though, because there's so much in this room, and I didn't realize there was an enemy that could flip me. Yeah, but that's not something we need to get into right now. And we're dead. But that's fine. I think that's it. Yeah, that's an enemy I haven't died to yet, so we can get a new body. Oop. Thank you for the body. I am you now. Radiant Bloom seemed really good, but it didn't really pan out, because its attacks were a little unfortunate. Now we possess a new body. We can be the Purgatrog. Which, as you might imagine, is going to be much better at physical attacks. Grab me my starting gear and we'll go fight Heaven now. Actually, which of these do I want? Chastity, Pride, or Diligence? Well, not Diligence, because it lowers my physical attack, so that's the wrong choice. We'll take the Pride pauldrons and melt the other two. It's a real shame we got 3 pauldrons, but it did get us a free level, so it's not the worst. Yeah, no, that's true. And usually if you do pick a neutral path, you end up getting the losing choice most of the time there. You get the worst results out of the options, which is unfortunate. This moveset actually isn't that great. It really seemed like they had a better moveset when I was fighting them, but that's nothing new. Take a upgraded retreat. Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei is good about giving you a neutral path. Though that too can end up being, like I said, the worst path depending on the situation. Let's go punch some angels. Missed completely. This is going well already. Let's hop. Oh, no, there's no point in using jump yet. He's gonna take a turn to do that, so I can move over here already. Try to shove him into that bell. There we go. I am gonna want to jump to get over here, though. There we go. Well, that's why I said it depends on the situation. And this is not a debate we need to have right now. Free defense. I don't really want the stat line that comes with the increased lust, but that's just the nature of the beast here. That's just what we're dealing with. What's behind door number 3? Library. Might actually get something good out of here, but boy, there's a lot of angels in here. Okay, so we've got, let's see, 2 sentries, 3 moral cores, it looks like. Yeah, 2 sentries, 3 moral cores. Sentries don't have much health, so I can probably take them pretty quickly. I think I see a play. It depends on how they react to this move, though. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, is I was going to lose the ability to use the retreat move, which is what I planned to do. But we're in a good position to take this moral core out without it being too big a deal before the others get here. So we got some free space there. And they have to walk across spikes to get to me. Don't give them first swing if I can help it. Just pass the turn. The problem with charge versus headbutt is we have to follow up on what we hit with charge. Really wish the Purgatrog had headbutt right about now. Ooh. That might be a weapon I can use. I don't know if it'll be any good for me, though. We'll take another small hit, but it's fine. This guy dies here, and we can move on. Oh! They got me good with that one. I didn't see the pit. Oh, that's unfortunate. I didn't see the pit past the sentry that was sitting on it. And I forgot that Purgatrogs have a bit of a problem with that, in that they fall. Yeah. So that was just mistakes all around. Let's get rid of the Purgatrog. The Purgatrog's not that good. Actually just go back to Soul Slime. This is what you start the game with as your first choice. Nah. You'll notice you do actually have a couple neutral options. There's 4 neutrals, and then everything else... Actually, no. I tell a lie, 6 neutrals, because the things at the ends of each thing also have a neutral outline around them. So does this one for some reason. And then everything else is either heaven or hell. Why is that one up? I guess... I should have put this one over here. Just so that there's not a random neutral and then a random heaven in weird lines, because this is now out of alignment with the rest of the heaven stuff. Whereas these 2 hell things are kind of out of alignment with the rest of the hell stuff. I guess the other way to make this... No, because if you move the hell thing up there, it fucks up everything further. Let's go be the Holy Primate. The Holy Primate's good. Does mean going and fighting hell again, but that's fine. I mean, I could go fight heaven with their own stuff, but I prefer to go back and forth where I can. Orb is useless. Orb is useless. That's a shame. Okay, our skills are as follows. We get swipe, turn around, sidestep, spiral kick, back off, sure-footed, grow wings, tango, evasive counter, blurry vision, full strength, all that good stuff. Hopefully we'll at least get something a little bit more useful as a form to use. Yeah, the best part about the Holy Primate is it's got an AoE attack as its basic attack. So it's a lot harder to kill the Primate by surrounding it like we've been dealing with every other area. Our only problem right now is we're getting kind of short end of the stick for gear here. Because we keep getting predominantly orbs, which we can't even consider using. Sure. I'll take that just for the skill, even though we do lose a little bit of attack power because we lose Wrath. Tango is probably going to be useful, because we can flip positions with an enemy. I could get permanent increased dodge and then try to go for evasive counter. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Anything that doesn't involve spending more turns usually ends up working out well. Nope, no backstab. No maidens, no backstabs. No prizes. Stop healing yourself. Rude when you do that. It's only okay when I do that. Okay, that was all that was in this room. There's a lot of anvils and things that you would think would lead to getting more gear, but they don't. They just sit there. Okay, I have to be next to them to flip them. So we'll just wait a turn. Bounce him off the wall. I'm looking forward to the opportunity where I can tango an enemy like off a cliff or something. And I end up botching the layout for it and end up throwing myself into the pit. That's exactly what I'm expecting to have happen, and it's gonna be really funny when it happens. Is the Patience Rod a weapon I can use, or does it count as an orb weapon? Okay. Wow, 4 and 5. That's actually really good. Give me that. And we can also get Cool Breeze, which will heal me whenever I dodge and boost my dodging, so that's really good for us too. Bombs away instead of flee? Sure, that's actually good. Alright, our gear's looking better. So a lot of points to spend because I didn't spend them in the last bit. So, how do you feel about all wrath all the time? Make our kicks just delete things. This is not a good idea, by the way, but it'll be funny. Because arguably, with the setup we're getting as far as our gear goes, I should actually be aiming to get more evasion. Why do I have missile suddenly? Oh, the Patience Rod gives me missile. That's actually very useful. Nope, still no backstab. But at least he didn't heal himself this time. Boot. There's one of the opportunities to do this in a funny way. Ooh, right into the trap. Really? You're gonna burn jump just for that? Okay. I guess that's a move you could make. Here, have a bomb. Enjoy that. That's for you. Really don't know what he thought was gonna happen there. This place is riddled with Purgatrogs. Goddamn. I liked the other version of Hell we had with all the Jesters. At least that was interesting. You know, even though it ended up killing us. I'm like doubly disinterested in the Purgatrogs because we have one now. So I'll admit that's kind of my big draw for this game is the fact that I can keep collecting new forms to use. Because there's so many, like, characters to choose from. Even though a fair amount of them do seem to have the same moves, which is kind of unfortunate. It is a different mix of moves. And then, of course, you have all the gear that gives you different moves as well. Fireplace Poker, I don't mind losing some defense. It's also just funny seeing this thing waving a Fireplace Poker around. Watch out, he's gonna go for your eyes. He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. So right now our strategy is definitely just boiling down to kick thing in face until thing's face stops moving. I really need to up my speed or something because these guys are so easily getting double turns on me, which is starting to really chafe a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. We'll wander over here. It's funny in a way that Wander just lets you walk to a random tile in one turn. You don't jump to it or anything. You just kind of prance along over to that tile and you're just there now. You just exist in that place. I can't do anything too clever here, unfortunately. Because if I tried to, like, tango with him, all I'd do is push him into the corner. Which would be a great idea if I was in more danger, but I'm not. Because I can just kick both of them like that, so it's not really a big deal at the moment. And I can also just start dodging like crazy here. But let's spend our stats before this fight carries on. Where is one that raises evasion? There we go, dodging from humility. We do lose max health in exchange, but that's okay. 95 dodging. But I think that's counting the boost we have at the moment. Give us evasive counter. Okay. Now we actually have them right where we want them. Nah, Pride is thinking you can dodge and then failing at it. Pride cometh before the fall, after all. Wouldn't be very likely to fall if people could hit you. We'll just kick you into the lamppost. There you go. Enjoy the taste of lamppost. There's a lot of stuff here, huh? Can't really do anything efficient here is the only annoying problem. There we go. Thank you for adding to my attack efficiency. I mean, those that believe in those things probably are convinced they're connected to everything in some way. At least that's how it always seemed with any of that lot that I've spoken to. They think it applies to everything. I suppose it depends on how deep down that rabbit hole they've fallen, too. But suddenly Purgatrog. Yes, you're gonna keep shielding and attacking me, and then you die. We can really see how well that worked out for them. I want to keep the Patience Rod because it gives me Missile. These are actually not that... Well, yeah. That's kind of why I disagree with it. Kind of just as a concept to begin with, is like, well, congratulations, you've now got a paintbrush the size of a building to try to paint things with. This is very effective. Oh wait, no, it isn't. It's an effective way of avoiding learning anything. I'm gonna have to step in that bear trap, because there's literally no other way to that location. Unless wander... No, because I can't wander there either. Well, guess I'll just have to take the damage. Real shame. And the thing is, a lot of the time when they try to use those as heavier archetypes, you also can't have multiple of those things at the same time. Usually, each of those archetypes has one that it's like 99% focused on, and it's like, well, this is boring. You're now a one-note character. Congratulations. Which, don't get me wrong, I know there's a wild amount of one-note characters out there that people enjoy, but just like, eh. You can be more than that. Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that. Especially since half the time they connect those two things together anyway. It's like, oh yeah, they were in a dream and these are manifestations of their sins. It's like, great, exciting, wonderful. is this Tormented Husk so much stronger? And I guess it is floor 2, so I guess everything got stronger, but he's taking a lot of hits. I mean, I guess maybe it's my fault for using my foot when I have 2 weapons in my hands. Ooh, there we go. We can heal off the first hit on an enemy. That'll help. We will also drink a potion just to be on the safe side here. See if we can actually make it to a 3rd floor for a change. So I may engineer my own death just to get a different character here. Depending on how this situation plays out. Back up a step and bait them. Especially since that thing just shot their own friend in the back, so that works out for me. Actually, yeah, just stay here, because the Nightmare's gonna walk here and I'll be able to kick all 3 of them at once. That'll be great for me, considering we're also not taking too much damage. Now the Jester's panicking, which is fine. He'll just run off. That's kind of the problem with the Nightmares, though, is they can just kickflip me. Or well, you know what? That does, in fact, take care of itself. The Jester just walked off into lava and is going to die. I can live with that. Yeah. Again, I feel like that falls under the thing we talked about before, where people are getting... well, no, I can't even say they're getting worse at media literacy. They're just not getting any better at it. Increase my dodging, gets hit anyway. There we go. Yeah, because we've got some decent staying power with our dodge heal now. When we actually manage to dodge. This Nightmare, though, is kicking my ass. Go for the big heal while our dodge protection is still up. Of course, we can't hit them either. I'm not sure where it started. I first started hearing it a lot when people were bringing up theories about Majora's Mask, and also when a lot of those, like, haunted game discussions started popping up a lot. I noticed them popping up a lot more around that point, but that may just be where I started seeing it. I'm sure you'll get varying answers if you look up when that whole thing started. Because again, it'll in part be where the person's saying that this is where it started, first encountered it, and things like that. Though somebody may have actually gone and tried to find where that whole thing started. Actually. Because people love to look up random things like that and try to research it. Because it just happens to fit what they're interested in. And it can be fascinating to dig that information up sometimes. Just depends on if it appeals to your mind at the time. Into the lava with you. Real shame that you can just survive in there, but you are a creature of hell, the root of all evil, so it kind of makes sense that you wouldn't just die in lava immediately. Interesting choice to... Huh. I mean, I know he was panicking, but it was fascinating watching him walk through lava just to walk into a death pit immediately afterwards. Well, it's a simple thing if you have to remember. People love their simple explanations for things, because it makes it easier for them to digest it. There are a lot of people that want the simple answer so that they don't have to think about it too much. And there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting a simple answer some of the time. You just can't accept the simple answer in everything everywhere. Sometimes it can be nice to just shut your brain off for a bit and not try to figure out the whole damn thing. But you do need that critical thinking capability to exist. Your mind is kind of useless without it. That's kind of the thing I would argue is more of an issue, is that a lot of this stuff's way out of balance. Like, more often than not, when I hear about most of these things at this point, it's I want all one or all the other. There's no in between with a lot of people anymore. Well, a lot of people's an overstatement. But a lot of loud, annoying people. They either want everything to be these complicated, nuanced things with no room for simple things to exist, or they want everything to be simple. It's like, both can exist. That they are allowed to exist at the same time. And, you know, if people are having fun making these weird theories, you know, by all means, make your theories. Just remember that they are, at the end of the day, just theories. That is a likely candidate there, Gerda, is something succeeded in doing it. So a lot of people then tried to be it. Just becomes a matter of, well, then what was that starting thing? Because wasn't there a long time where everybody was trying to do twist endings because something with a twist ending did well? It's like, okay, everything has to have a twist ending now. And then half of the things that ended up getting made that way were shit. Is the twist was so ham-fisted that it's like, okay, everybody saw this coming 7 miles away. To be fair, there is a certain joy in taking something simple and finding something complicated behind it. Because in a lot of cases, there can actually be something more complicated behind the front layer of something. But I do agree with you that the people that take Pokemon and go like 17 miles with that also go a little too far too. But it depends on the specific case as far as Pokemon goes, because there is a lot of really screwed up stuff if you actually read even what's just written down in those games and take what's written at face value. Yeah, exactly. That is a fair point. Like, if a twist doesn't fit in the thing you're doing, but you put it there anyway, it's not going to have the same effect as if it actually lines up. Oh yeah. There's just us two sides to it is all I was pointing out there. But I do agree with you that there's a fun to be had with it, but also a downside to be had with it sometimes. Let's move over here and make them move to me through the bombs. This way I have a moment to think about what I want to do about the problem here, because we don't have any healing left, so I kind of need to buy time for Cool Breeze to come back up to give me enough leeway to live here, I think. But we're also outsped. Takes 7 SP, which we don't have, so I need to drink a Juniper Ointment as well. Which was the other reason I needed to give myself some space. Yeah, I suppose the bottom line there is the hidden stuff has to actually be hidden stuff, not things people are just fabricating out of nothing. I suppose is a good baseline statement to make there. Yeah. And there we go. We got a good first aid off of multiple enemies that I hadn't hit yet. We're getting real surrounded here, which I don't like, but let's activate Cool Breeze first. Yeah, because they're gonna push me out of the awkward position I was anyway. Because they've got this fixation with flipping me around, which worked out in my favor this time. I just gotta not get pushed into the lava pool specifically. Thankfully, they can't hit me, so we're kind of free and clear at the second. And thankfully, that one just wandered off into a pool to take care of themselves, so that works for me. The fact that these enemies panic is actually very convenient. There we go. We got out of that awkward situation with more health than we went into it with. Honestly, getting that item that gave me Cool Breeze, I think has basically just given us this run. Like, it has given this run, like, much longer legs than it had before. Wrath Plate? First Aid's been really useful, and it's the same amount of defense. It would be a good bit of attack increase, but I think we get rid of that. I need that First Aid too much. Because basically just being able to heal yourself by attacking is just too good. 2 attack, 5 critical rate. No, thank you. That's less attack than the things I'm using, so it goes in the bin. So I will say, conversely, taking something complicated and, like, doing the equivalent of taking an axe to the Gordian knot can be fun. Take your crazy, complicated universe and just go, simple solution, wham, right down the middle. Though sometimes I would say that's more just to mess with the people that really are trying to push that complicated narrative more than anything. Okay, so we got more dangerous enemies here. Okay, they drain life to begin with. They got grab and bite. Oh, interesting. They pull you towards them, hit you, and then push you back where you were. That's upsetting. How about you go in the lava? Oh, I guess I can't push you. Why couldn't I push you? You don't have anything that says you can't be pushed. I mean, you got weight medium. I guess maybe them being medium weight meant they resisted the push then. That's upsetting. Can I get them to line up with this pit? The answer is not really. Let's see if they walk into the bomb. Yeah, it is a very good idea to hang on to certain thoughts, as they could end up being useful in other things. You know, waste not, want not. I know the feeling with the too many thoughts. So there are solutions to that as well. If it's a genuine problem. There are definitely ways to get the mind to slow down a little bit. I shouldn't be standing next to this pit. This is a horrendous place to be standing. But the good news is he's going in the pit. Goodbye! I finally got to do that, and I'm so happy. Extra attack would be nice, but... That's how that glitch happens. Okay, if you end up placing an item slightly off the spot where it's supposed to go, it just stays there sometimes. That's what happened there. Well, I'll have to make sure to pass that note along. No, it's not a major bug, it's just a weird one. Writing them down can help, yeah. You just gotta be careful not to spend your whole day writing down the thoughts that are coming. Which, I suppose that amount of notes can be useful as well. It just impacts you getting anything else done. Which at the end of the day just depends on whether you had anything else to do. Yeah. Personally, I struggle more with being able to hold on to any of my thoughts. Yeah, it's a familiar problem, yeah. That not being in alignment. Because as it turns out, the speed of thought and the speed of the mind are not in alignment to begin with. The speed of thought will outdo most anything. It really is funny watching this Mark of the Beast do all of these animations and just dodge, 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 dodge. Didn't hit anything. Nothing you do mattered. Nah, 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 nah. And boot down the hole. God damn it. What? So it resisted getting pushed, but it took enough damage to panic, so it just ran into the hole anyway. Incredible. Sometimes you get what you want, regardless of whether you actually did the thing you were supposed to do to get what you wanted. Now, bear in mind, I don't know if y'all can see very well, but if we zoom in, you'll notice these guys have weapons now and armor. They're actually getting gear of their own at this point. There are many questions that'll seem stupid, but are actually way more important than you may think to ask. There we go, we got a sloth sword, which is apparently way better than an iron sword. We're actually going places now. They're just walking through all the bear traps. You'd have to ask somebody who's paid way more attention to that series than I have. Like, a lot of your deeper questions that you ask with things like that just really don't go anywhere with me, because I don't dig that deep in a lot of things. Like, if I'm doing something new, I'll dig into it as I'm going through it at the time, and then that information's gone for me again immediately. Because I have too much other information to try to keep track of. And it's just not a priority for me specifically. Now, I can definitely tell you based on video essays I've seen people end up watching, there are definitely people out there that are convinced there's some real serious connotations to a lot of things in that series. Whether any of that's real or if it's just more nonsense, well, that's up to you to figure out and for you to judge for yourself. Someone gave the clown a knife. 2 of them even. Well, I think that kind of falls under an experiential difference there. As you've mentioned before that you've spent a decent amount of time with Sonic, so of course you would end up being able to answer those questions, but if you've not done much with anything Mario related, you wouldn't have answers to the same questions. Meanwhile, to my perspective, having just kind of lazily glanced past both series, it really doesn't have a major thing for either of them for me. Drink a potion before you die, you fool. Okay, so the fire crawlers leave bombs behind them because they have bombs away. They got line raid, flashbang, and heal around. Okay. Well, we can kick them into their own bomb, except they're too heavy to be pushed. I gotta say, the amount of things that are too heavy to be pushed when this game really gives you a lot of pushing options starts to seem kind of silly. And there goes panicking off through the bombs. I'm always willing to hear people out, but I make no promises of a positive reaction afterwards. Yeah, because that's only gonna have light push weight. I could get up to medium push weight with that. Might be worth it. Making myself fly could be worth it. Yeah, this can push heavy. Now, let's just start making our swipe better because we basically rely on it. I probably should have been buffing that to begin with. Yeah, to amend my statement about no positive reaction, I do not judge people for most of their ideas, just I may not agree or go along with the idea. And there's an important line to be put around that most. That most does a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. It's mostly a case of like, oh yeah, if you just are doing theories or just having ideas that don't hurt anybody, you know, I won't judge for that ever. If you have ideas that are going to be harmful ideas, then you will be judged very harshly. And that's harmful ideas in actively wanting to hurt people. Yeah. Even with my limited experience with Sonic, I can accept that those are core themes. Whether they're heavily used core themes could be debated, but they would be things that I would say are easy to assume exist at the heart of it. Whether they ever intended to go deep with that idea, who can say, other than the ones that made any of them. But there's clearly some level of that thought in existence there. I can't replace my armor because I need to keep Cool Breeze. We are starting to get some good stuff here, but it's unfortunately not replacements for the stuff I have entirely. Like, I could swap Sloth for Greed. Though it's convinced I'm replacing the first weapon, which is not what I want to do, but we can just flip those and fix that problem. So I could get some of my health back, but I lose some of my dodge. Gain some special, gain some speed. No, I think I'll keep the Sloth Sword. Sloth is more useful to me than Greed. Which also means the Cleaver goes the same route, because I need to keep some stat buffing for accuracy, otherwise the way I keep dropping my own accuracy is going to come back to bite me too hard. Yeah, this bomb move that these guys are using really only works as far as when I don't have places to go other than where the bombs are. There you go. I feel like that's a rather deep character analysis for what is portrayed in most of the game side of the media for the character. But if you're talking off of the basis of reading the comics or any other media other than just the games, sure. I can accept that as a character analysis. Purely just based on the games, I feel like that's pulling more than is there in some cases. It also depends on how many of the games we're talking here and which games and things like that. Either way, I don't disagree with it. You can just sometimes be... It could, depending on the information pool you're working with, be pulling additional information than is actually present. What's in the armor right here? Oh, why is the camera focusing on that? What is that? I apparently can't hover over that and identify it, whatever it is. Is it a cool thing? Is it something I can take? Or am I supposed to be avoiding it? The answer will be found out when I step on this tile. Sure. Oh, it's a shop. That's what this is. Okay, we'll come back to that idea in a second. It's a good thing we've gotten reasonably durable at this point, otherwise we probably would be crumbling under the weight of all these attacks. No, I can get behind that. Though honestly, DDR Mario Mix has a lot of surprisingly good music in it. But then again, it's also at its heart a DDR game. They very rarely get it wrong with music entirely. Otherwise, that franchise wouldn't exist. will give surprise credit as far as the source, because a lot of people don't know DDR Mario Mix exists. We are in very big trouble here. We're dead, actually, in fact. Because it got to be too many things attacking us. I should have activated the dodge increase sooner, but didn't have turn order. Still, we made it to floor 3 instead of floor 2. I'm gonna have to ask you to keep those walls of text down a little bit there, Spooky. Because if I wasn't using my main viewer, you would have absolutely devastated my ability to read that. I do not dispute your point, but I suspect that point might have been able to be made in a shorter wall of text. Let's see, we're at 4.5 hours. I'll try one more time with the fire crawler, then we'll go run into heaven and cause some ruckus. And then we'll wrap up for the day. Okay, so we get 2 orbs and 2 leg slots. Not ideal, but we can make it work. What skills do we get? We've got Spread Shot, Burst Shot, Bombs Away, Artificer, Speeding Bullet, Bomb Pole. Ooh, okay, that could actually make the bombs less bad, so that could work. We've also got Time Bomb, which we just stick to an enemy straight up. Flashbang, which we've seen. Collector. I would certainly assume they're up there in your favorites when you have that much information just ready to go. As far as that character goes. So now I will admit to being curious. Who is the number 1 then if Eggman is 2nd place? Let's go ahead and start with Time Bomb. Time Bomb's a nice safe choice, I think. And based on these moves, we probably are going to want to focus on special a bit here. Especially since our bomb is going to be special. So we'll go for kindness. Is what's kinder than just a time bomb, right? Uh-huh. We're giving a gift. It's a gift that explodes, but, you know. I still gave them something. Now, there's been some debate as to what is actually considered his greatest creation. Or, I suppose, debatably, who, depending on which creation is in question there. Go. So we do still have the same vulnerability the plant did, but we at least have an exit move instead of an obstacle move. So we can kind of work around that. Don't like the layout here. Can this thing swim? Nope, sure can't. So we start taking damage if we hop in water. But it... Yeah, the spikes are gonna be damage too, though. Got a bishop and a Hamsa over there. Yeah, that's fair. Sonic Heroes definitely missed a few marks. Okay, Time Bomb works. Time Bomb does a lot of damage. I was worried it wasn't going to do that much. Yeah, Metal Sonic is a good choice. Ooh, we are losing a lot of health here. Oh, that's why we have an infection. That's fair. It has problems. Like, I would honestly phrase my thoughts this way, in that there are very few objectively 100% bad Sonic games, but a lot of them do have flaws. And it depends on whether you can get past those flaws, whether you will enjoy it or not. But it also depends on what your threshold for considering something bad is as well. Oh, just slap the Time Bomb on him. Oh, absolutely, Gerda. And that's the thing. I will always stand by the statement that there's no such thing as a perfect game. Like, what 100% zero world in which there exists a perfect game. It may be a game that's perfect for someone, but the games still aren't. Huh? I don't know how I died there. I think I might have died to infection or something, because it really looked like I had health left enough to live there, and then I just kind of dropped. Unless they gave me my own bomb. Which might have happened? I just spaced just enough on that one that I lost that entirely. But no, I could honestly understand enjoying Shadow the Hedgehog more than Sonic Heroes. Is while I personally don't care for it that much, it definitely gets more hate than it deserves. But I'm also coming from the place of I don't particularly care about most Sonic games, one way or the other, so maybe that's where the extra layer of space where people can actually hate that comes from. That's also a fair statement to make, Gerda, yeah. If you haven't experienced it, then, you know, you can't really say you like or hate something. Which, that's a whole other wild adventure of concept. There are these people that love a game, like, love the hell out of a game, but have never actually played it, never interacted with it. But say it's their favorite thing. And it just continues to drive me crazy. Like, I both find it very funny and also just like, how can you have such a strong feeling about something you've not experienced? Oh, I know why we died in the last round now. Here's what we just saw happen in front of us. A time bomb has an AoE to it. I blew myself up. I understand now. God damn it. I can't believe it took me that long to figure that out. Darkwood's an interesting one. I played a bit of it. I never actually went back and finished it. Darkwood's an interesting game. Not one I have ever expected to hear randomly brought up, but here we are. Honestly, probably mostly accurate there. At least as far as the people that have a rational reason for disliking it. Like, there's obviously the people that have just ridden along on the train of everybody says this game sucks, therefore this game must suck. It's definitely a game that got memed on a lot, which soured a chunk of people's thought of the game without them ever having interacted with it at all, which is a shame. Like, it's almost always bad when that kind of thing happens. Like, even if the game's legitimately bad, it shouldn't end up getting ruined for people before they even experience it. Oh, absolutely. I honestly can't remember any problems I had with Darkwood. It was just a matter of I played that still in the time when I was working. So both I had less time to do things because I was working, and the fact that I also had a lot more expendable income to keep buying more games, so I kept getting distracted by game after game after game. So I never ended up sticking with that one. Well, yeah, that's kind of one of the things I'm talking about as well, where people hate it just because it's not the same as all the other Sonic games, because that's what a lot of people wanted, was just more Sonic. Which it already deviates by technically being Shadow instead of Sonic, which already, I know actually a couple people did not like that just on that basis. That's another thing, yeah, but I will admit they were not implemented great, but they weren't bad either. But yes, they did exist in that world that entire time. So it's also kind of funny that you bring Darkwood up today, Gerda, because I just recommended the game to somebody else that was looking for horror games. Not yesterday, but the day before. It's just interesting timing that just happens to come up again. That's exactly what I mean, yeah, is the mechanic existed. They could have made it better, but it wasn't awful. That was one of the lesser issues in that, for sure. I also completely agree with you about the slipperiness and everything being a problem. I'm glad more people actually know what Darkwood is and enjoyed it. 'Cause that's in that list of things that I never really hear people talk about at all. Like, not in a positive sense, not in a negative sense, it just doesn't get brought up at all. But I can definitely say, as somebody who doesn't care about most horror games, I actually enjoyed Darkwood. And while it's not entirely a horror game, depending on the sense of what you would title a horror game, it is definitely a good game. This could go a lot of different directions, but I'll hear you out here. Yes, I actually completed what was available in it a while ago. I'm waiting for it to actually come out in 1.0 to look at it again. Which I think it's not out in 1.0 yet. I think it's getting there, though. But that is also a very good game. Which, in another similar line of thought, Blood West is also very good. I think the last time I really dug into Gloomwood, the Merchant wasn't in yet. I don't remember. Because it was... I want to say I last played it in October of last year. Or was it the year before? I've apparently, like, misplaced a year somewhere along the way, I've noticed. There's a lot of things I've gone back to check on my library. Like, oh yeah, I played that last year, and then I realized I played it, like, 2 years or 3 years ago. It can be, depending on how you want to play it. I played it fairly stealthily, and it works out very well as far as that goes, but you can also run and gun it pretty well if you focus on that skill set. It has a skill tree set up that's good enough for doing either or. It definitely markets itself with a focus on stealth, but it's not required. Which reminds me, I also need to do the extra stuff they added for it. At some point. I think it got phrased as free DLC, which messed with my head as to a lot of things with that one. Stealth, when well done, is very good. A lot of things don't do stealth well. So all I would say on that is be very careful how you develop a stealth game. That could work well. As well, Thief has some of the same potential frustration points as a lot of stealth games do. It is a very enjoyable series. Plus or minus some of the games, depending on how you feel about them. That's kind of what I mean, though. Arguably, sometimes the must have been the wind approach is better than how some games end up handling it, where the system just doesn't function to begin with, but they expect you to use it. So you're just getting caught constantly because the detection system is broken garbage. As you should, yeah. That there should be reasons behind the mechanics the game has, rather than just, oh yeah, we know these are popular buzzword mechanics, so we're gonna put them in the game just because we know people will be interested in the game because it has that mechanic in it. I think we might be up a creek without a paddle here. With our 9 hit points left and multiple ranged opponents to fight. Is as soon as they get that infection on me, I lose. So I think I might actually need to run. But I don't know if running's really gonna help at all. It's not like I really have anywhere to run to. What I might be able to pull off, though, is getting a bomb on him and then running for my life. Depends on whether he goes for the infection move immediately. I don't know what the range on that move is. Locked my skills, that's fine. There's the bomb. But now I assume he infects me. Yep. And now we die. Rip. Well... You say that, but I can definitely point out numerous people that went for direct combat, whether built for it or not, immediately. And it works. It's just... Ooh. You definitely get way better at direct combat later, but there are definitely a lot of people that go for direct combat immediately. Myself included. Assuming you're talking about the first Deus Ex. Oh, absolutely. And I would say that that's arguably where stealth is handled better, is when it's not the arbitrary, oh, hey, you get reset to a checkpoint, or anything like that when you get caught type stealth. It's usually better when it's stealth that enhances the gameplay rather than a stealth as an only option. At least that's my experience and thought on the matter. Yeah. That is a sentence that essentially proves my point, because at that point the game's entire identity is just the buzzword mechanics, which is technically then core to the game's identity, but not necessarily a positive. What else can this bishop learn? So we can buff a helper. We can heal ourselves when our helper's around. Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's also a matter of, it has to, at least to somebody like me, it has to feel like it makes some sense that you have to be stealthy, because if you could, like, tear through these guys like they're nothing, and yet you're expected to sneak around and avoid everything like you'll be broken in half at a moment's notice, and it doesn't really work. It's more often than not that the move's going to end up being that somebody's going to disregard stealth and just attack things. But if you're actually under enough threat that stealth is the only way, then, you know, it makes a lot more sense. Manhunt sure was a game that existed. That's really the only thought I have on that concept. Just like, yep, sure, that did exist. Yeah. Oh, all he goes into the lava, so we may as well just not worry about that anymore. It's looking like I'm gonna have to have that helper around. Which... Wait a minute. Now there's the plague move. This is weird now, though. Because... we fought multiple bishops and none of them summoned... None of them summoned minions. They just... In fact, I can't even find that locking move that they were using. Unless it's the punishment move they have over here. Huh. Weird. I can think of a lot of games that lose their gameplay loop about halfway through. And for something like Manhunt, I could believe that. Special ratio, move. No special ratio at all. Attack ratio is higher than special ratio for that. I think we take some Wrath for now, since we're going to be using our Last Resort a fair bit, I think. Because right now our moveset sucks. I probably should have checked around more to see if there was a stat that buffs Helper more. It really does seem like we're primarily reliant on that, like I said before. Give him the infection because he's got a higher health pool. Bounce you such that the Helper can keep hold of you better. I mean, that can kind of work as long as it's handled properly. Because I seem to recall that the Condemned games, I think, kind of fell into that same trap at some point. Where a lot of your opposition was super dangerous, but as soon as you found decent weapons, that all turned. There were also times where the game forced the stealth back into focus, which worked and didn't work simultaneously from what I remember. That's coming from a place of only somewhat experience with it, so that could easily be wrong. Oh yeah. Even the most horrible stories, and I don't mean horrible as in poorly written, I mean horrible as in a lot of bad happens, can be portrayed well as long as they're handled properly. And that's where a lot of things kind of go wrong there, because they'll do all of that as far as portraying this horrible thing, but they ham-fist it a little too hard, or they go too far the other way and it can't be taken seriously, or any number of other missteps, and it just doesn't work anymore. And then you have people like me that just look at most dark stories and go, okay, bad things are happening. Uh-huh. It'd be a real shame if these were not fictional beings, but, you know, they're just fictional, so, eh. Like, I cannot really get attached to game characters or TV show characters or movie characters very much. I just can't. That's just not a thing I do. You know, more power to those that can, but it's one of those things. Just this bishop here with the goggles and the floating knife. I don't know what to do with this information. But it sure is a look. There we go. Now it's even better with the giant shoulder pauldrons. It doesn't really do anything to me there either, because a lot of the time that's handled actually worse than the good side having a lot of bad things happen to them. Like, a lot of stories where you're the quote-unquote evil one, very rarely are you actually the evil one in those scenarios. You cause some bad stuff to happen, but there's this worse thing over there that you end up more or less doing a twisted version of the hero's journey to go beat that anyway. And you end up causing an overall positive by getting rid of the worst negative, and it's just like, that's not really being the bad guy at that point. You're not really evil if you're dealing with a worse evil. Yeah, this is also why I encourage people to experience bad games as well. Because something I've honestly noticed is there's this slide that's happened with the scale of what makes a bad game bad. That's happened over time, is people avoid bad games more and more, so their tolerance level for even just like mid and iffy things gets less and less. So they just become intolerant to anything that doesn't perfectly play out the way they want it to. Which is where you get a lot of things getting negative reviews for small things. It's like, come on, people. Fucking cool it. That also doesn't tend to be handled well, like, you honestly don't get that option that often where it isn't an end game state that I can think of. But like the Fable games, being evil really didn't feel like it did much. For example, that's an easy one I can think of off the top of my head, where technically you start out more neutral, I think, in those games, but you can go either way. But the evil route for that was just kind of mostly minor things again, just isn't very enticing. But again, it's a case of it can be done well, but I cannot think of very many examples off the top of my head where it is done well. And it's unfortunate because a more significant dynamic like that could actually be a very interesting story to tell. Yeah, we'll pass debuffs to the helper. I was having a real long think about that. I will listen to what you have to say, and we'll see how I feel about your statement. But it also depends on whether it's something I've even interacted with, so there's variables there, but we'll see. Just bear in mind, it can be handled reasonably well and still not resonate with somebody. Which will impact someone's view of it. That's where objectivity becomes important, but it can also be hard to maintain. And yeah, you can learn a lot of lessons from bad games. Like, I've tried to explain to people when I've played some, even just kind of mid-games on this channel. It's like, hey, here are the things that this did not do correctly. You could do this to make this exact thing work better. Because more often than not, even bad games don't have bad ideas inherently. They're just handled poorly, or they were not finished or fleshed out correctly. More often than not, it's just a mistake was made somewhere or something was rushed, and the game just fell on its face as a result. I am curious about those examples of starting good and becoming evil working well. In part because I suspect I know some of the answers that are going to come out of this, but I'm going to wait and see. It's nice having 2-tile reach. Now that I'm getting more used to the bishop's not terrible. See, that the bear with you on this one already makes me worried about where this is going. Because this already tells me we're going for a ride. But go on, go ahead. As before, you will not be judged for this, but it is a worrying statement to open something with. No, you didn't subvert my expectations at all based on previous conversations. This was one of the things I was expecting you to bring up. And it also doesn't mean anything to me, so I can't really work with that answer. That was 100% one of the two things I was going to bring up immediately. In my mind, there was a decent 50-50 between you bringing up either Undertale or Deltarune as one of your first examples, just because of previous conversations we had regarding both of those games. So you've honestly done the opposite of subverting my expectations. I was actually expecting you to Hail Mary a Sonic game at me, which would have been a fascinating twist for you to try to explain. But by all means, continue. Oh yeah, I never said that it wasn't going to be the lesser of the two options, but they both were there as options, was the entire point of that statement. I'm gonna go and snooze that ad because of where this line of thought's going. This way people get to come along on this ride completely. 100% infection resistance. Yeah, lower defense, but no infection seems like a good idea. Then again, 50% chance to resist any debuff. Never mind. Can't use the sword. Get in there. But yeah, bear in mind, if someone's never played Deltarune or anything, any explanation you have here may not make any sense. And that's where things like this are a difficult conversation to have. Okay. The trick there becomes, how do you explain this without A, spoiling a lot of things, and B, going on a long train of thought here? Because I have to assume that this is not going to be something that will be able to be explained quickly and easily. Again, to simplify a discussion on something like that would rely on both parties having experienced the thing. See, I've still not played it at all and probably never will. So that's why I'm stating there may be complications of understanding here. You know what? I'm just gonna step here and let that nightmare kill me. Of course it failed to kill me. As long as the game makes sure that the player understands that that needs to be done, that can be done well, but there's a gamble inherent to that. In that, if the player misses a critical piece of information on that, situations like that could be incredibly frustrating. But I do acknowledge that that is an interesting idea. I want to make that part clear right there, that that is an interesting idea. It's just also an interesting idea you have to be very careful with how you handle. But since we are getting ready to wrap up, I'm going to give you all the page for the game again. And I will go ahead and snooze the ads a bit harder here to buy us some time so we can finish out this line of thought and I can find us somewhere to be without unnecessary interruptions. Okay. I mean, that makes a degree of sense. Again, though, that I feel like this would make a lot more sense with more context of both games. Which I technically do have context of Undertale because I did end up at least watching someone play a decent amount of that at some point, but that was also long enough ago that that didn't stick because I didn't have much interest in it. But that does start to make a degree of sense. Right. And explaining what that is would go into spoiler territory. And while I personally am not worried about it, I don't know if anybody out there watching would be spoiled by it. And I would rather avoid that. Which again is why I knew this was going to be complicated to have a proper discussion about. So what I would say is, Rather than deep diving on this, because I'll just allow the thought you had there, do you have other examples? Because remember, we're also getting ready to head out here, so there's only so long I can spend on this line of thought here. All right. Let's hear it then. This will also buy me time to pick out a target anyway. Yeah, no, off is an interesting one. Off I actually liked. I've actually dug in on that one a decent bit myself. So that one I actually have some context for. So that's another one where people ran with that potentially further than was intended. But there's some stuff to take from that. And isn't there like a somewhat new version of that? Or at least like a Steam version now or something that's happening? Yeah, August 15th, Steam version of Off happens. Yeah, I don't know if I would entirely go along with the you're good turning evil there, mostly because there's some debate as to which side you're really on to begin with that game, because there's a lot of debate that could be had there, which is not debate we can have here really, because a lot of that debate is massive spoiler territory. Yeah, I remember hearing about that and adding that back and forth in my head as to whether that was a positive or not. Because I worry that that's going to... Not that it'll cause an issue for it, but it'll cause an issue of expectation. Potentially. And I don't know how that'll play out. But it is nice that they're getting to work on something that inspired them in the past. It's nice to see things like that come full circle for somebody. I'll be honest, my thoughts on it don't particularly matter, because having already seen it through, I probably am not going to buy the Steam version because I really have no reason to. It's not something I have any reason to experience again. Oh yeah. Like I said, it's fun that it's come full circle. Yeah, I am going to pick us out a raid target. I'm struggling a little bit with that decision as usual, because I'm also splitting my attention to not disregard what you're trying to say. Yeah, because we've been there a lot recently. That's why I'm like, no, not really a valid target right now. I really hate that when you open and close the raid browser, it like empties out my entire chat box. Which thankfully I have another chat box open, so it's not a problem. It's just like, but why though? Answer, because Twitch is a great website with no issues. Yeah, it was great to see you again, Gerda. I will, like I said, find us somewhere to be. Just, I have a long list as usual, so it takes a while to settle on a decision there. That could take us to somewhere very fitting to what we were just talking about, but I don't know about that idea right now. It's always interesting around here. That's something I can say with certainty, is it's always interesting. When was the last time I raided over there? I really should keep up with the notes I used to keep for these things. I've not raided them recently, but they're just doing that now. That is not something I expected to see somebody playing right now. That's certainly something. We're not going there because it looks like they're getting ready to end, but I was just surprised to see somebody playing Yuppie Psycho in this day and age. Huh. Not a game I would have expected to see popping up randomly, but here we are. Also very funny, tied in with the discussion that's been happening. Considering the type of game that is. What a weird world we live in where coincidences like that can just happen. They happen decently often too, which is the weirdest part. To hell with it. Concept-wise, I'll take the easy out on this one. And we'll go see Char, who's also doing demos, because it'll make it easier to explain what I was doing. Even though we've been over there a decent bit lately. Besides, I like Char. Char's good people. So, thank you all for taking the time to be here. Do be sure to check out those games that we played today. And remember, they were keys that were given to me, so take that as you will. We will be back tomorrow with finishing Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Then Thursday we'll be doing more Lurkit stuff because I'm actually not doing a collab this week as far as Thursday goes. Friday we will be continuing Abiotic with Mel, and then Saturday I don't think we'll be doing a short run Saturday this week because of the fact that I will be more than likely doing a late collab that I got invited to. We shall see whether I do a double that day or if I do the regular stream and then don't stream the collab or not. It depends on how I feel that day and how that discussion ends up playing out, because I need to go have that conversation with these people here soon, because that was the group chat I got pulled into as we were starting up today. Either way, be good to Char, she's good people, and I'll see y'all next time. Good night.